afternoon. If we want to keep consistent with what's been ongoing, or at least the terms that were set yesterday, in terms of reading section by section, we have a rather extensive one right now. It might be something to read about this topic and see what kind of perspective it presents. It would seem that, unfortunately, more recently, there has been a miscommunication about what actually constitutes certain priorities in these regards. Perhaps we'll find some lucidity. Intelligence and secret service must never be underrated by a commander. Polybius, a Greek historian, 201 to 120 BC, wrote that a general must apply himself to learn the inclinations and character of his adversary. About 2,000 years later, von Moltke, chief of the General Staff of Prussia for 30 years, from 1857, said to his officers, "You will usually find that the enemy has 3 courses open to him. Of these, he will adopt the 4th. A good military leader must dominate the events which encompass him. Once events get the better of him, he will lose the confidence of his men, and when that happens, he ceases to be of value as a leader. He has therefore got to anticipate enemy reactions to his own moves and to take quick steps to prevent enemy interference with his own plans. For these reasons, a first-class intelligence organization is essential, and the head of it must be an officer of brilliant intellectual qualities who need not necessarily be a professional fighting man. He must be a very clear thinker, able to sort out the essentials from the mass of incidental factors which bear on every problem concerning the enemy. Service intelligence organizations must be in the closest touch with the Secret Service. A general must understand the mind of his opponent, or at least try to do so. For this reason, I always had in my caravans during Hitler's war a picture or photograph of my opponent. In the desert and again in Normandy, my opponent was Rommel. I would study his face and see if I could fathom his likely reaction to any action I might set in motion. In some curious way, this helped me. I must admit that I do not now know of any other commander-in-chief, except Slim, who adopted the same practice. Yet the studying of opposing commanders has always been a prime necessity. Any battle can very quickly go off the rails. If this should happen, the initiative may well pass to the enemy. If there is one lesson which I have learned in my long military career, it is that without holding the initiative, it is not possible to win. Hence the value of intelligence. In all Secret Service activities which are handled by the central government, the operation of spies, saboteurs, and secret agents generally are regarded as outside the scope of national and international law. They are therefore anathema to all accepted standards of conduct. Nevertheless, history shows that no nation will shrink from such activities if they further its vital interest. While the factors of command and control play a large part in the winning of battles, the greatest single factor making for success is the spirit of the warrior. So I will stop, because I don't want the two to get mixed up. It would seem that I personally have had a very comprehensive education in those things that would otherwise be considered anathema. It's one of those things I think I was expected to learn as part of going on now 4 years actively of intentional denial of my rights to due process. But what seems to be connected to more than 35 years of obligations someone else set up using my identity and for whom I was supposed to perform without question. There are things that people are trying to represent as intelligence that are not intelligence. It's crime. There are things that people are trying to promote as Secret Service. There's not Secret Service. It's bad engineering. I would hope whoever you are, you know the difference. And by tomorrow, you understand the difference between a warrior and a spy. If we were talking about actual intelligence, this would not be so insulting, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about perverts who allowed for their appetites to overwhelm their sensibilities. And now we have a massive problem with overconsumption and addiction. Somebody is opportunistically trying to wield that to their advantage. I say that the material conditions for war may well have already been met. That's why these are so important, these moments. are so important. Unfortunately, far too many of you must have positioned yourself as my enemy, because you have yet to show me your face. I suppose we'll get back to that one.